Hello and welcome to Real Watchers Movie Club. My name is Garrett.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are your hosts. Movie Club is a show where we pick a movie every week and discuss it just like a book club. On today's show, we're taking a look at the Korean crime thriller Memories of Murder. Our thoughts and more coming up on Movie Club. Released in 2003, Memories of Murder was directed by Bong Joon-ho and stars Song Kang-ho, Kim Sang-kyung, and Kim Roy-ha. Sorry if there's any mispronunciation of those names. During the late 1980s, two detectives in a South Korean province attempt to solve the nation's first series of rape and murder cases. The film has a 4.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Before we dive into the movie, though, and our thoughts, we do want to issue a spoiler warning for the movie. There's a lot that can be spoiled about this movie, so we don't want to do that if you haven't seen the movie. So go watch it first, then come back, because we don't want to ruin it for you. But stay tuned to the end of the show to find out what movie we're covering next week, because this is probably one of the biggest genre turns we have ever done. So
I think so.
We're getting the dark stuff out of the way this week. Alrighty, Kevin. So this week was Memories of Murder, and this was my pick this week. And honestly, just picked it because it's a Bong Joon-ho film. We just had Mickey 17 this year, and we had Parasite, which won obviously the Best Picture Academy Award, and is a director who is just endlessly revered. And I didn't even know he made this movie, so I wanted to check it out. And I saw that it was kind of all over the place in terms of high praise and people saying good things. And I didn't really know anything about it, kind of going in, just that it was going to be a crime detective thriller. And that was it. So had you heard anything about this movie at all before watching it?
I have seen the poster of this movie, but I didn't watch any trailers or anything like that, or wasn't interested in watching the trailers, I should say. But I did kind of do a little bit of read up before watching the movie, though, just about when we talked about it on the stream. This is from Bong Joon-ho and stuff like that. But I was very interested because the poster of this movie is very intriguing. So I wanted to see what they would do with that in the movie itself.
Sure. Yeah. So now we finally watched it. We can say that we both know what's going on. But again, we'll do a quick spoiler-free thoughts before we dive in, because I want to give people one more chance, because this movie has a lot to spoil. Kevin, what were your kind of spoiler-free thoughts before we dive in?
Really good movie. I really like the atmosphere of this movie, and it's just a movie there's so many different police out there, because this is part of the Korean police and how they interrogate people and stuff like that. So that was very interesting to me to see the difference between US and Korean back in the day, to see their policies on that. But I really thought this was just an eerie, mysterious movie, which I was all for. It did get for me, it did needed to pick up a little bit fast in the first beginning, for the first part, I feel like. But other than that, I think it was we'll get to spoilers, but it was great for me.
Yeah, I thought this was just yet another incredible Bong Joon-ho movie. Really well shot. It's also just brilliant in terms of its tone. It is like you said, it's a crime eerie movie, but then on the other hand, it's weirdly funny at some points, and it never feels like it's sacrificing the tone either, which is really something crazy. We'll get into this a little bit later. I was kind of expecting this to be a little. This isn't something I'm criticizing the film for, but I really I wanted it to be scarier. Is really the only thing. I wanted something like Cure, which is still one of the scariest movies I've seen, right? Or something like Long Legs. Not necessarily in that it's a supernatural thing, but that it's just endlessly creepy. But the creepiness does come in from another aspect, which we'll talk about.
Well, I actually think that it does give you some creepiness with, I don't know if we want to go spoiler on this, because I don't know if this is a spoiler or not.
Well, let's go ahead and just say spoiler warning, final time.
Yes, final time. But the creepiness, I wish there was more of that, the person in the fields. a little bit more, because when the girl is whispering the song and then he's whistling along to it, and then the perfect, I still have the shot in my mind where you're looking straight at the female, and then the head just slowly pops up and slowly go right back down, right in the
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, that's it's not even scary, but it's just so like it. I got goosebumps just
it was
talking about it.
surreal almost.
Yeah, because it's like
Yeah.
somebody could do that. It's not like, oh, that's kind of far fetched, but it was just so good. And then that little jump scare that you get when he crawls on all fours to get the woman as well. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, jump scare. It was just like, oh, that's so creepy kind
Yeah.
of jump scare, which I wish they would have played a little bit more into that kind of aspect in this movie. And
Mhm.
it's like such a nitpicky thing to
Oh
do
yeah,
too. But
100%.
like that shot was, I think that is just money shot right there. I feel like.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because one, and this is gonna be a really weird comparison. Obviously, I've made a very easy comparison already, which is Cure. I think this is very Cure-esque.
Hmm.
Definitely,
Hmm.
like I could do a double feature of those two movies, right?
Yeah.
But this feels more. Bong Joon Ho has a list of people who are inspiring to him and filmmakers and things like that. But one of the biggest people he's always talked about is Martin Scorsese, and this feels like it could have been a Scorsese movie if it were
Hmm.
set in America or whatever. And so I definitely get a lot of that here. I get some of that Shutter Islandiness,
Yeah. Hmm.
like, and so I'm really kind of, I was excited by that. I agree. It does have some creepy moments, which it should. I mean, any movie about a serial killer and investigation into them should be creepy. These
Hmm.
are some of the most evil people in our society, and they
Hmm.
need to be treated as villains as much as
Oh, but
possible because we have a tendency to make them into heroes.
the ending, the girl says, I don't want to spoil anything yet because we haven't gotten to that good part. But the ending, what she says at the end, is
Well,
just
we already dropped
so.
a spoiler alert, so go ahead.
I mean, the ending where the girl, when the lead detective asks, what did this guy look like, and she just goes, he looked really like plain. And it's like, oh my gosh. And like my realization is like, I knew it could be anybody, but the fact that she just said it and said like, oh, he just looked normal, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that could be millions of people that
Yeah.
this happened, that it could have been. But the way she delivers it makes it feel so much more like heart wrenching, because he's
Yeah.
like, I knew I wasn't gonna find him, but I wanted to know what he looked like, and he just looks like me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a serial killer could be anyone.
Yeah.
We look through serial killer history. They're not all loners. They're
Hmm.
like, you think John Wayne Gacy, who was like a pillar of his community. You think of people who are loners, but then there are people who are not. Like it can be anyone. And to hear that the person who's responsible is so plain, is so normal, just flies in the face of both detectives, and it just crumbles the world. Which, this is the biggest spoiler, we don't know who it is at the end of this movie.
I love that though. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Because do you know this was actually based off of true events that happened?
Yes.
I did not know that until I watched like
Mhm.
an explained video on YouTube
Yes.
about that. I'm like, wait, that makes it even more perfect, that ending.
Yeah.
Because
Because
they.
yeah, when this released in 2003, they still did not know who was responsible,
Hmm.
and they actually caught the person in 2019,
Yeah, which is
which was
crazy.
crazy. 40 years
17.
later.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's so good though because of how they planned it like that, and then me knowing the history of it too, I'm like, that's a perfect way to end it. It didn't have to be all happy rainbow and sunshine. You get He gets a little bit of that, like just her explaining that he just looks so plain and like a normal person, where he's like, oh my gosh, he's just plain. But you
Yeah,
don't get this, he doesn't get the satisfactory of catching the perp.
yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
well, the main character even ends up leaving his job.
Yeah,
Like,
as a detective.
yeah, like how do you go on when it's seemingly impossible to locate who's responsible? How do you continue? Like
Hmm.
how, and then as we see with the younger detective, do you just give up on your morals? Like he just assaults that man because he wants him to be the villain.
Yeah, but when I was watching that video, it made me realize too, just replaying it in my head is how precise the young detective is when he first gets into the military or into the detective people, and then at the end how he kind of becomes them. Did you notice that?
Mhm.
He becomes very violent with the people, get very interrogative with uh, a person that didn't do it. And
Yeah.
that's what in the beginning of this movie you get to see how manipulative they are. They're trying to um, get a kid to confess that he did these murders, and
Mhm.
he's on the spectrum, I would say, in this movie, and they're trying to hate like, so how did you do it? And they're being very manipulative, but then he reverts to being very intelligent. Our main character, Detective Park, and then the young detective becomes Detective Park at the end of the movie, which I think
Mhm.
that it's just a switch up because
A role
he
reversal.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
thought that was very interesting as well. But we can get to like some of the funny parts, which I don't know if are supposed to be funny, but like all the times when they're in the interrogation room and he kicks over the chair so the guy doesn't sit down in the chair, but then picks it up and puts it back on, and then the detective sits down in the chair instead of the person that they're what's it called, interrogating. I
Yeah.
thought that was hilarious.
Or then like the I believe it's the first time they get to the crime scene and the guy just tumbles down like the
Oh,
embankment.
oh, they have
Like,
no idea what boundaries are over there, which is so good.
well,
It's
it's
so
crazy,
funny.
but it all lends in, right? The comedy and the horror parts of this lend into the idea that they had never dealt with a serial
Mm-mm.
killer before. So
No.
like there is so much inexperience that is happening in this. There's a level of clumsiness in how they're handling it, right? I'm sure they had heard about, Charles Manson and the Son of Sam and all that in Korea from the United States. Like they had at least
Hmm.
heard of serial killers, but like to say like it was the 80s and it was the first thing about that, and then not only that, you get these two detectives who are the ones that have to work on it. It's fantastic storytelling. I don't know how close this is to reality because obviously
Hmm.
it's based on real events. It's not an exact retelling.
Hmm.
I think the only real connection that it has is it's about the first serial killer in South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really, really well done.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like what we said earlier, the comedy doesn't subtract from the tension,
No,
right?
because they're as you said, they're very inexperienced in this field, so
Yeah,
they don't have taped up areas. They haven't called forensics for like the good half of the movie. They didn't call forensics until like later on in the day and stuff like that. But that's because of how small of a town it is and how
hmm
small everybody is. They're not used to having all of this mayhem happen.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's absolutely true. There's such a lack of experience, and it just plays into everything. Um, you know, it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, I think of the shots of like they're out in the field, and then they just have all those people standing
Hmm.
on the embankment. It's like, dude, like, send those people away. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, they just didn't understand, or like when they were trying to mold the shoe print and the guy runs over it with the tractor, and then
yeah,
oh, there goes the shoe print. So stuff like that. But another thing I wanted to talk about was how, I don't want to say it's not gruesome, but how detailed the killer was in this movie, of how he was very consistent with his killings, which is really interesting because I think that's the true story aspect of this
mhm.
movie as well. And it broke my heart when the final girl gets unalived in this movie, because you get to see the young detectives kind of spiral out of control because he
Yeah.
just saw this young girl earlier in the day at the school, and it's just it broke my heart because
Mhm.
why wouldn't it break your heart?
Yeah, it absolutely does, right? And I think that's because of how well written this movie is, in that those characters become so connected and so like uh, sympathizable for us, right? Like it's kind of in the opposite way of Cure, right? Cure, we connect with its main character because of the trauma and the kind of the more psychological things he's going through. We can identify. On this end, there is some of that psychological as well. We get like the spiral down. But we also get like these are people completely out of their depth, and then when one of them has that personal cord severed, it just breaks you. And it's oh man, and like I mean I would start looking at my coworkers, like, hey, who knew that I knew this person and that I'm the detective on this case, because this feels too convenient.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it's so good. Alrighty, so this was my pick this week. So I think that I mean I kind of talked about it earlier, but like I think for me, I would have appreciated something a little bit scarier, perhaps more scenes with the victims and what they experienced. I think could have been something that could have heightened that a little bit. We got that a little bit with like the crawling all fours and all that, but I think I would have appreciated something a little bit scarier, something like Long Legs, something like Cure, not necessarily supernatural, but just scarier. It's already creepy, but I wanted like scary. But other than that, I absolutely love the direction this movie took. Bong Joon-ho, this is his second movie, and he knocks it out of the park on his sophomore film. I mean, come on, he's incredible here. But I love the shots. I love the performances as well, which we didn't really get a chance to talk about. But I just loved pretty much everything about this. I ended up giving it a 98 out of 100 and a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Nice, very good. I mean, everything that you said and above, I really enjoyed the shots in this movie too. It's very pretty, but also very eerie and dark when it gets to nighttime and the scenes where the unalived people are, and it makes it's so not, I don't want to say enjoyable, but in a movie aspect, it's like it gets you so sunken into the movie, you want to just keep watching it the entire time. So I was very drawn into this movie. We didn't even talk about the actors and actresses in this movie, but they were all fantastic because of how good they are in this movie, because they take this movie to another step. It's like you don't point them out for doing something wrong because of how good the script was, how good the scenes were, and how good the acting acting was in this movie. Again, I do agree with you. A little bit of more horror-y aspect in this, I think I would have preferred a little bit as well, but it's still so eerie and good. And the fact that this was based on something true is even scarier to me. So I gave this movie a 96 out of 100, which is 4.5 stars out of 5.
Well, there you go. And that is going to bring us to the end of this week's Movie Club. Question now falls to you. What did you think of Memories of Murder? We'd love to hear down in the comment section below. Just remember to be respectful, because it's really not that hard, and decency seems to be going away these days. But next week, we're going to be taking a look at the classic, I guess, romance drama, Dirty Dancing, which is quite the tonal shift from Memories of Murder. But that's what we do here at Movie Club. That's going to be also our last Movie Club episode before we get into Spooky Month, where every movie we cover will be horror themed. So make sure you're subscribed so you see all those. And that's it. Yeah, exactly. I can't wait either. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, make sure you're subscribed. We have our live stream that goes live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we go over movie news, reviews, and so much more. And of course, this show goes live every single Friday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, make sure to keep those eyes on the screen.